Becoming the teacher I had always admired. Today is observation day. It's not my first time, but I still feel nervous every time. But it's okay. I have a necklace that supports me through tough times. It's a necklace with a design of stars. The only one of its kind in the world, given to me by someone special. Today, I put on the necklace and headed to school. When I arrive at school, the students start coming in. One of them catches my eye, winks at me, and then looks surprised when noticing my necklace. With that expression lingering in my heart, the class begins. Thanks to the necklace, the class receives positive feedback not only from the students but also from their parents, which makes me feel relieved. I'm glad that all the effort I put into today's lesson was worth it. Feeling content, my voice grows louder as I see the students off. As the class ends, someone suddenly speaks to me.
This is matching, isn't it?
Huh? Surprised, I looked at her necklace. There, I see the same star necklace as mine.
Goodbye, Miss Hannah.
Goodbye. Be careful on your way home. I watched the students energetically running off with backpacks that seemed to be more than half their size. I see this scene 5 days a week, yet it never fails to dazzle me so much that I can't help but squint. A few years ago, I achieved my long-held goal of becoming a teacher. Every day is a new experience for a novice teacher. I handle my homeroom class and, even after several years, I'm constantly busy with things I still don't fully understand. However, what brings me the greatest joy is being able to connect with each student individually. As the day of the class observation approaches in a few days, I find myself lost in thought. It's not my first observation day, but I still feel nervous each time and can't calm my anxious feelings since morning. Standing in front of the students' parents, I decided to wear a slightly more formal suit that day. If I wanted to match the necklace, maybe a lighter shade would have been better. I mutter to myself as I spin around in front of the mirror. I have one precious treasure. It's a star necklace. When I wear this necklace during times of unrest, it helps dispel my anxiety. With this necklace on, I'm sure everything will be fine. It's remarkable how far I've come, despite being an ordinary and unremarkable person. As I gaze at myself in the mirror, dressed in the formal suit with the necklace, memories of past events come flooding back to me. I was raised in an orphanage. I have no memories of my parents and don't even remember their faces. Among the other children, I lived within the orphanage. Some would occasionally go on overnight stays somewhere. I didn't know if they were with their parents or relatives, but some of them would receive presents on their birthdays or at Christmas. At the time, it seemed like nothing special, but looking back now, I think I felt a mix of envy and a little loneliness. I didn't have anywhere to stay overnight or anyone to send me anything. I had nothing special to boast about or be good at. I didn't have anything to be a source of emotional support for me. I felt like I had nothing, no one, so I closed my heart off and always spent my time alone, away from everyone else. My expression must have been dark, making it difficult for others to approach me. However, there was one girl who always reached out to me. Her name was Aiden, an energetic girl who looked great with her short haircut. I heard that Aiden, like me, had no parents or relatives, but unlike me, she was always surrounded by friends and was bright and kind.
Hannah, let's play together.
Aiden would always call out to me whenever she saw me alone, and she reassured me. It's okay, don't worry. Even though Aiden spoke to me, I couldn't respond well. Despite our similar circumstances, I couldn't bring myself to be as open and outgoing as she was. Nevertheless, Aiden never seemed bothered by this and continued to talk to me many times. It didn't take long for me to open up to her. As I started playing with her, I was able to find my place in the life of the orphanage. She shared everything with me, her joys, her sorrows, and I felt my true emotions coming back to me. She even shared her precious things with me.
You know, I have something I want to give you, but it's a secret from everyone else.
With those words, she led me out to the orphanage's backyard.
This is my treasure. I want to give it to you.
She reached out her hand, and when I opened mine, there was a star bead stone resting there. It was something she cherished. It might have looked like a simple star-shaped bead, but I knew that Aiden, who loved beautiful things, treasured it. Under the bright summer sun, sparkling, I gazed at it intently and asked, "Why are you giving me something so precious to you? Are you sure I can have it?" She hesitated for a moment, then looked at my face and said,
You know, Hannah, they found someone to be my foster parent. I'll be leaving the facility before you.
I was speechless at this sudden news. Are you going to a foster family? I won't be able to live with Aiden anymore. Will I be alone again? Those thoughts raced through my mind in less than a second. I must have had a stiff expression on my face. While she was looking at my face like that, she continued,
If I'm gone, you might get lonely.
She took my hand and placed the star-shaped beads in it.
So, I'm giving you my treasure. Because it's me. Since I'm always with you, Hannah, you'll be okay. Stay strong.
I held on to the star-shaped beads while crying. My body trembled at the thought of someone caring so much about me in this world. And my body trembled at the thought of losing such a caring best friend. I wanted to accept her kind feelings. I strongly felt that I had to accept them and do my best. For the first time, I felt an overflowing trust in my heart, and I couldn't stop crying. Thank you, I'll be okay knowing this feeling. Aiden, thank you, thank you. Be happy. I repeated those words over and over again as I cried. I remember her also nodding and smiling through her tears. After a while, Aiden journeyed from the orphanage to her foster home. It was a refreshing autumn day, yet my heart felt as if a chilly wind was blowing through it. The days without Aiden became lonely. But I had the star-shaped beads. She was always with me through these beads, allowing me to maintain some semblance of normalcy in my life. There were many things I looked forward to, one of which was the events held occasionally at the orphanage. These were community-driven events like table tennis classes and cooking workshops. The first event after her departure was a jewelry-making class. Each time, a volunteer teacher would come to the class. The women who came to the jewelry class were very kind, and I affectionately called one of them Mrs. Emma and admired her greatly. Sensei Emma, a skilled housewife who made jewelry as a hobby, was a wonderful teacher, although I understand that now as an adult. At the time, she seemed like an impressive teacher to me. I made a bold request to Mrs. Emma. I wanted to turn the star-shaped beads, my precious treasure from Aidini, into a necklace. I wanted to wear this memorable star-shaped bead, filled with her heartfelt wishes for my well-being, to lift my spirits whenever I wore it. I earnestly conveyed these feelings to Mrs. Emma while showing her the star-shaped ornament. She listened attentively to my story and thought for a while.
Hannah, first of all, these star-shaped beads are quite intricate, aren't they? Normally, Turning them into jewelry would be challenging.
Does that mean it's impossible? Feeling sad, tears welled up in my eyes. She gently smiled and shook her head.
No, there's a way.
She took the star-shaped beads from my hand and gently placed them on her palm.
These star-shaped ornaments hold precious memories for you. I want to help make your wish to always carry these memories with you come true. It will be a bit challenging, but do you think you can handle it?
Overjoyed by her words, I jumped up. Please teach me. I'll do my best. First, thread the star-shaped beads onto the chain. In this way, Mrs. Emma taught me an advanced processing method that isn't commonly done, especially for someone as young as I was. It required patience and meticulous work over time. After hearing the explanation and expressing my determination to proceed, she nodded in agreement.
Well then, Hannah, let's work hard together.
She listened attentively as I earnestly explained what I wanted to achieve. She guided me through what was necessary and how to attach the slide holes, making me think through each step and ensuring I understood. As I desperately worked on making the handmade necklace, I began to feel the joy of being taught and the pleasure of learning. She taught me with a serious expression, never showing a hint of annoyance. After a long time, the necklace was completed. The stars on the necklace seemed to shine happily.
Hannah, you did a great job to the end. I'm sure your friend will be delighted too.
Seeing my completed necklace, she was as delighted as if it were her accomplishment. It was the first time I had met an adult like that. I wanted to become an adult like her. I wanted to become an adult who could be approached by children in this way. I wanted to become a teacher who could teach children like Mrs. Emma. This experience led me to aspire to become a teacher. Today is Observation Day. I am wearing that necklace close to my heart again today. This necklace has been with me on many important occasions throughout my life. Using this handmade necklace filled with memories as my emotional support, I have persevered until today. The handmade necklace has gradually aged and even come close to breaking at times. However, each time, I reinforced it, repaired it, made slight adjustments, and continued using it up to this day. The methods of reinforcement and repair were not my ideas. They were taught to me by Mrs. Emma. When she taught me how to make the necklace, she didn't just teach me how to craft accessories. She also taught me maintenance and repair methods that I would need in the future. She prepared me with the means to overcome difficulties on my own if they were to arise in the future. Mrs. Emma's guidance, where she imagines and involves herself in her students' lives far beyond, is the ideal of an educator in my opinion. As a teacher, I vowed to never forget this ideal. Observation Day in the classroom carries a different kind of tension. During my first observation day as a teacher, I was so nervous that I couldn't even look at the parents of the students. Now, I can calmly survey the surroundings and recognize many familiar faces. I wonder if I'm starting to get used to this. No, maybe it's also thanks to Aiden's necklace, I thought to myself as I looked around the classroom. As I surveyed the room, I noticed a person among the adults standing at the back whom I had never seen before. Could that be Josh's grandmother? John is a lively boy in the class I teach who talks to me every day. I remembered something he had said recently.
Hey, you know what? My grandma is coming to the next class observation. Mom and Dad couldn't come because they had to work, and I was feeling lonely, but since Grandma is coming, I'm going to do my best.
He often shares what happens at home with me.
My grandma is looking forward to meeting the teacher I always talk about.
Come to think of it, he had mentioned something like that. I wonder how he talks about me at home. Oh, really? Then let's work hard in math so you can shine, I replied, and he made a displeased face. But then he quickly straightened his expression and said determinedly,
I want to show Grandma my good side.
After that, he tackled his weak subject of math diligently, studying hard with his textbook. As I was recalling this, our eyes met, mine at the front of the classroom and John's grandmother's in the back. He smiled kindly and winked at me. Then, her gaze shifted to my necklace, and she appeared slightly surprised. I was curious about her expression, but it was observation day and I couldn't engage in conversation, so I just returned her smile and continued.
Goodbye, teacher. See you tomorrow.
Today being observation day, school ended with this. Students and parents exchanged greetings as they left the classroom. Thanks to the necklace, I felt relieved that the class received positive feedback from both students and parents. I was glad that the effort I put into today's lesson paid off. Feeling content, my voice grew unintentionally louder as I saw the last student off and stepped into the hallway. There, I noticed John's grandmother standing alone in the hallway. It seemed she had been waiting for me to come out. I believe you're John's grandmother. Thank you for coming today. I approached her and spoke.
Miss Hannah, thank you for always taking care of John.
She smiled as she looked at my necklace.
Our necklaces match, don't they?
Huh? During the observation, I had been too nervous to look closely at her, so I was surprised and took another look at the brooch on her chest. There was a handmade necklace. It's unusual to see star-shaped beads made into a necklace. I was impressed because I had never seen a handmade necklace with star-shaped beads other than mine, and I stared at it closely. It was carefully crafted to secure the stars in place. It seemed to have the same construction as my necklace, but hers was undoubtedly several steps above mine in skill and was a wonderful piece of work. What happened to this necklace? It's the first time I've seen a star necklace other than mine, John's grandmother said, gazing at the necklace. For some reason, her voice was soothing, with a softness that felt familiar.
This necklace is made from memories with my best friend's family, turned into jewelry.
She explained. Did you make it yourself? I couldn't hide my surprise upon hearing that she had crafted it.
May I share the story of my best friend with you?
She had a close friend whom she trusted deeply. Her friend had always wanted children but couldn't conceive due to health reasons. Refusing to give up, they finally adopted a child from an orphanage. The adoptive family and the child developed a wonderful relationship and became a truly happy family, just like their own. However, tragically, they were all killed in a large fire. When she rushed to her friend's home, everything had already burnt down, leaving nothing behind. She searched through the ashes hoping to find something left by her friend's family and discovered only the charred stars. She brought them back and turned them into this necklace. As I listened to her story, my heart raced, and my legs began to tremble. The quiet tale she shared with me left me deeply shaken. A handmade necklace with stars.
Yes. The girl my friend raised as an adoptive parent loved making handmade accessories. She showed me some of her creations.
She replied. Aiden. At the certainty in my voice, she looked up. With trembling lips, I told her about Aiden, about how I grew up in an orphanage, and about the beautiful star ornament that she cherished. I explained how I had relied on that star ornament she gave me to keep going. Was she gone? The shock was overwhelming for me, who had always hoped to meet her somewhere again someday. Unable to contain myself, tears overflowed from my eyes. It must be her. This necklace. It's handmade. I learned from a volunteer teacher. Suddenly, I looked at the necklace of the woman in front of me. Could it be Mrs. Emma? It was indeed her. I realized that John's grandmother was Mrs. Emma. Strangely, despite not noticing until now, her gentle voice and direct gaze remained unchanged.
Hannah. You're still the same Hannah from back then,
she said, also shedding tears.
Your friend's adopted child was indeed named Aiden.
The place where Aiden went as an adopted child was Emma's friend's home. I once again realized that Aiden was no longer in this world. Mrs. Emma said that the memento from her friend's family was only the star-shaped beads that Aiden cherished. The necklace around my neck also became the sole memento of Aiden. Aiden's stars, always supporting me, even today. Yet, she was no longer in this world. I couldn't believe it, and I didn't want to believe it. Tears uncontrollably overflowed from my eyes, unable to stop. Mrs. Emma gently wiped my tears with a handkerchief and said,
Hannah. I, too, was deeply saddened by the loss of my friend's family, and my heart was almost broken. But at that time, there was something that supported me.
Saying this, she wiped my tears and then held my hands with both of hers.
Hannah, it was you. Your presence supported me.
I was surprised, staring at her face. My tears stopped with surprise, and the last drop trickled down my cheek. Why was I, who had only learned accessory making from her years ago, supporting her? She looked into the distance for a moment and then spoke about that time. She and her friend had been close since they were young, discussing things like wanting children and deciding to adopt. Even after Aiden came to her friend's family, they continued to consult with each other. They rejoiced together in the days when her friend raised Aiden with love like her own child and built a happy family. For Mrs. Emma, who had witnessed her friend's efforts and happiness, accepting the loss of her friend's family was unbearable, leading to days of despair.
At such times, I remembered Hannah, whom I met at the accessory making class at the children's facility as a volunteer.
I appealed to her that day, expressing my desire to always be with the star-shaped beads, my one precious memory, which I had while living in the orphanage.
Remembering your earnest attempt to challenge the difficult task of processing accessories in your determination to be with your precious memories,
Mrs. Emma said, turning her gaze towards me, her eyes full of tears as she smiled.
Remembering your earnest efforts, I was able to overcome the separation from my friend, she said, recalling each word I had appealed to her.
She mentioned that she felt the same desire to preserve cherished memories, whether or not the star-shaped beads I had and the ones she found were from the same owner. Afterward, she carefully polished the star-shaped beads she found in the burnt ruins and painstakingly crafted them into a necklace over time. Just like me, with the single-minded desire to always be with the memories of her friend. She also mentioned that during difficult times, she wore the star necklace. It seems that she had been living with the help of the star necklace throughout her life. I was greatly surprised to realize that I had continued to exist within Mrs. Emma. The day I met Mrs. Emma was a special day for me, marking the beginning of my goal to become a teacher and the day she became the ideal teacher in my heart. I believe she was the first trustworthy adult for me, someone I could rely on as a child without parents. The encounter with her, guided by Aiden and her memories, has continued to support me throughout my life. Mrs. Emma, it's the other way around. It's been me who's been supported by you. I couldn't contain my overflowing emotions and grabbed her hand, shouting,
Hannah.
I shared with her all the feelings I had for her from the day we made the necklace together, along with everything that happened until I became a teacher.
The events of that day have been the support for your life.
She had a very surprised expression. We realized that our mutual existence had supported each other. Mrs. Emma closed her eyes for a moment, took a small deep breath, and then slowly looked at my face. She reached out and gently touched my necklace.
Aiden gave you these star-shaped beads so that you wouldn't just stay sad, Hannah, but keep moving forward,
she said softly. Then she let go of my necklace and gently touched the necklace around her neck.
Aiden wanted me to keep moving forward too, not just stay in sorrow. That's why she left this star pendant in the ashes of the fire, for me, in place of my friend,
she explained. We both gazed at our respective necklaces. Because of Aiden's star-shaped beads, I met you and have been living my life to the fullest. Mrs. Emma, it's thanks to Aiden's beads that you remembered me too. It's all thanks to Aiden.
I'm sure Aiden would say, I'm just here with you and that you succeeded because of your efforts, Hannah. I think that's what she'd say,
she reflected. I shook my head, feeling as if Aiden had indeed spoken to me, and I felt a little happy. We looked at each other and then chuckled softly together.
John always talked about you, Hannah. He thought you were a good teacher, so he was looking forward to today's observation day. Thank you for always being there for him.
No, I'm always worried if I'm doing teacher-like things properly. But if he thinks I'm a good teacher, it's because I'm imitating you, Mrs. Emma. Once again, we locked eyes and chuckled softly together. She narrowed her eyes, now with a few more wrinkles than in my memory, and smiled with the same unchanged face. The hallway had gradually emptied of people and became quiet. Mrs. Emma and I walked out of the school building side by side. Outside, the bright afternoon light was shining. A pleasant breeze gently blew around us. The sky was clear blue with scattered white clouds.
Hannah, I was truly happy to know that you're working hard as a teacher. I've felt supported by the little you from that day, but now I feel like I'm being supported by you of today,
she said, stopping and looking straight at me. Mrs. Emma, you have been and will always be the ideal teacher for me. Thank you for showing me the way forward. She then stepped forward and put her arm around my shoulder. I reciprocated by gently hugging her back. I'll see you at the school gate. We then parted and walked side by side towards the school gate. Suddenly, Mrs. Emma stopped and looked up at the sky.
You know, above that sky, there's Aiden and her family.
I also looked up at the sky. I still can't believe that Aiden is no longer in this world, and it's truly sad. But that's only because I didn't know. Even when Aiden was alive and even after her physical presence left this world, she was always supporting me. That's the incredible power of her feelings and memories, which remain unwavering no matter what. What an amazing strength. Moreover, the fact that she has been supporting me unknowingly supported Mrs. Emma as well. Just how powerful is that? Aiden is truly incredible. I believe that Aiden will continue to watch over me, and so will her dear family member.
I wonder if Aiden is watching us now, seeing us getting along and smiling.
I feel like she's saying, don't be lonely. When thinking of the deceased, it's said that flowers rain down in the afterlife. I wonder if right now, There's a downpour of flowers where they are. I hope so. Thank you, Aiden. I'll keep doing my best from now on. It's going to be okay. As we looked up at the sky, out-of-season cherry blossoms rained down on us, and our necklaces sparkled brightly. How did you find this story? Please remember to subscribe to the channel. Well then, let's meet again in the next video.